Come in.
How you doing?
Okay, we got Jerome in the house, aka J Magic. What's up, brother?
How are you, brother?
All right, we got PULE in the house.
Thank you.
What's up, brothers from South Africa? What's going on, guys?
Good, man. It's good to be in Kenya.
Nice.
Yeah, the weather is good.
Excellent. So what brings you here, man?
So we in South Africa we work with NGOs, so international NGOs. So obviously there was provision for us to come to Kenya and obviously observe and analyze what's happening in Kenya. So we're just being here with the Greenpeace, and they're doing some activism work in terms of climate change and the farming in Kenya. So we're just out here today.
Nice. What about you, PULE? What brings you here, bro? You're in Kenya. Is it your first time?
Yeah, this is my first time in Kenya.
All right, cool.
And the same initiative, but more into looking at how business is conducted
Right.
in Kenya,
Mm-hmm.
and if there are any opportunities in the country.
Cool, like in the business sector.
Yeah, business sector.
Nice. I mean, so you're an entrepreneur, right?
Yes.
All right. So what do you do predominantly? What do you focus on? Is it like agribusiness? Is it fintech? Is it SpaceX?
More on our core business is more on the sales side.
Oh, okay.
But I think everything gets to be integrated into fintech. There's no way you can do any other thing without integrating a little bit of AI or IT in your space, for better understanding and better productivity, and of course better returns,
Right.
profitability,
Right.
better return on your investment. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So you mentioned AI. So unless you're living under a rock, I'm talking to you. Unless you live under a rock, I mean, you probably heard AI, right? You're probably LLM, which is like large. What is it? LML or LLM? Large learning machine.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, you've heard of ChatGPT, you've heard of Bard from Google, you've heard of Bing from, this is the Bill Gates initiative. You've heard of these things. So, and a lot of people, you see a lot of guys resisting using AI. Like, I don't want to use AI because, AI is going to take our jobs, or, what are your thoughts on that? What do you think, are people overreacting, or is it well-founded, the fear of AI?
I think it's if something is not, I think, marketed well, and there's no one point where we get information and get honest information, this is where most of the fear comes from. Because if we have information from different sources and different directions, and I think this is also and the information that's not verified, that's where you have a lot of information. So the internet has been great, but also the problem has been sources.
Right.
All of us. Like, there's always the good part of something. There's always a little bit of a bad part of something else. But I think we've been using it. If you look at your Uber, I'm sure it's using it. Whatever that we use at our homes, now you can speak to your TV.
Right.
To tell your TV to switch on, to switch off.
Right.
You are using it. I think the danger is where mostly people are looking at it from a point of, they'll create a robot that has a gun and that's just going to hurt you. I think that's when you ask somebody about this kind of technology, they always thinking that.
Right.
More than the fear is that, more than AI taking your job.
Right. So there's a lot of fear mongering. Yes. That's really. Yeah.
But then, because also now it's like, is the intention of the person creating the AI to gather as much data? Because now we've seen that the more data someone accumulate, they use that now against the mass majority, because now they know how you think, they know how you operate, they know what you're going to do, what's your next move. So sometimes, like, do you think to yourself, is the intention of the person creating this to gather your data and to manipulate you because they know how you think, or are they trying to make life convenient? So
True. Yeah, because then again, there are two sides to a coin. Like you could use that information for good or for bad. And I think think of it this way. I mean, as far back as I probably about 15, 20 years ago, you guys you do know this captchas, right? When captcha was introduced, what do you think it was for?
This anything, because maybe I'm not fully aware of captcha.
Right, captchas. You've used captchas. Some websites before you log in, they're like, "Oh, let's verify that you are a human. Show me all the bicycles in this picture.
Okay.
Show me all the fire hydrants or chimneys." Right. That was machine learning. So we were actually training the AI to recognize it. So now that was data that was being gathered without our knowledge.
Okay.
And they didn't have to pay for it. See that? So they found a way to actually put everybody in the world, anybody and everybody who uses the internet, you are going to be confronted with captcha at some point. So now you actually training the AI to recognize certain things. All right. And then, of course, you see image generation through prompts, video through prompts. That's all it was. So, again, the information wasn't put out there saying, oh, basically we're training an AI, so this is what we're going to do. We want you to identify these things for us. And we did it without even knowing. And again, if you didn't want to do that, you couldn't access the site. So it was like a one-way street in a cul-de-sac. So you couldn't go anywhere with it. You know what I mean? So in terms of what PULE said a second ago, the information, if the information is not put out correctly, so people get confused as to is it good for me or is it bad for me? And there's a level of fear. Am I going to lose my job? Am I going to be replaced by AI?
And I think over time, when you look at humanity, I think we're moving back to where everything started.
How so?
Because if you're going to have something that's going to wash your dishes, drive your car, and you can instruct it, then again the question and more of the fear is not about those things. It's more on a place of what am I going to do with my time? Now this is the fear element. I don't even think AI is the issue, but the fear element of saying now I'm going to have all of this time to myself is no longer my 8 in the morning and 5 in the evening, and then going to see my kids. Now I'll have so much of time to myself.
What am I going to do?
What am I going to do with this time? But you look back before farming, before technology, before industrial, people used to just sit around. And people would just go and hunt, and they would come back, and we would have those strong communities.
Those bonds that were created,
those
right?
Bonds that were created before work. So now, going back there, because we haven't been there, our generation hasn't been there, I think it's the most fearing thing. I think when it comes to people having enough time in their hands, it's something that people fear. They don't even, and also now they are thinking of the economics of it. To say, if I don't now have this income, because I've got all of these things that are doing all of these jobs, so economically, what's my position? Right. But if you can say to people, no, AI is just going to do everything, whatever, but then you'll still get a salary.
Right.
The fear will subside a bit. So, okay, at least I've got, there's still a way for me to live. Sure. I'll still take care of my children and whatever. Hence, they started with that concept of basic, to have that, what is this? This global basic incomes where you are just going to give people like basic salaries everywhere, even if they don't work. Gotcha. I'm just not sure how far are they with the study of that to say, even if we're going to give them money so that they can do this, because the economy is still the economy. You still have to go buy, you still have to go do things, you still have to pay your water and lights and everything else.
Your money has to exchange hands.
So
to keep
the money must still exchange hands. So then that's where the question is to a lot of people. At least I think that's where most of the question is going to be, to say then economically, if I'm a doctor and most of my work is done by this machine, where will I get?
What am I going to do? Right.
Yeah. Where will I get
Yeah,
income
that's
from?
interesting. I guess, yeah, the fear is again, well founded, because as you, the fear is within the person, not so much towards the AI, but
Yes.
towards your personal, sort of like, I guess,
Survival.
yes.
Yeah.
And I guess if you look at it this way, right, this sort of fear-based, reactionary, sort of like knee-jerk reaction has happened throughout time. I mean, if you look at, for instance, a company like Brinks. You guys know Brinks, right? The security company.
Yeah.
Back in there was Brinks. There was another company as well. They used to do, Transamerica mail and, transportation. And these guys, horse and buggy, horse and carriage. Yeah.
Yeah.
When the steam engine was introduced, these guys, they lost their minds. They're like, "Yo, what are we gonna do? We're gonna lose our jobs." So they balk against. They basically they rebelled against that. But then what happened? The steam engine came. Locomotives. The train came. Now instead of taking 3 weeks to go from, let's say, Boston to Los Angeles, now it's taking 3 days.
Yeah.
By train. So they realize, oh, okay, so now we have another job. It's more comfortable. We don't have to traverse the terrain on a horse, at the mercy of the elements. Now we're sitting in a carriage, comfortable on a train to transport the mail or gold or money or whatever commodity that they wanted to transport. And the same thing happened again with the Industrial Revolution, when mechanization, robotics, everybody. When the internet came again, everybody lost their minds. Oh my God, we're going to lose our jobs. So now AI is the fourth revolution.
Yeah.
And I think, I have a couple of friends who basically are like, nah, it's not for me. I'm like, what do you mean? You're going to be left behind, because if you don't use it, you're already using it anyway.
Yeah, either way. Anyway, you are using it. It's just that for now, the way you are using it, economically, it doesn't hurt you.
Right.
That is why you are now thinking, okay, yes, I can still use it on my phone. I can still tell my TV this, because the bigger part of my life is still busy. I'm still in control of that bigger part of my life.
Right.
But now we are not also thinking about, the questions should have been, okay, as we are going to transition, where are the opportunities?
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. Where the opportunities are, that's where now you have to sort of like focus on that rather than the fear-based knee-jerk reaction. And I think once you have that mindset, then you're good to go.
Because I think one of the craziest thing was that while growing up, we were going to church, and they played a movie. So they played a movie of the coming of the second coming of Christ, and one part of the movie was there was this guy sitting in front of a computer, put on a headset, and he didn't have, I think he was crippled, and and then he puts on this headset, and then this gave him the ability to walk, and he basically was on the beach running and so on. So then, as the world now transitions to this, and I remember speaking to one of my friends, and they were in Dubai, and I was telling them about this concept, because I remember watching the movie. So I was like, no, it's a brilliant idea, let me share it. And it was like, this is what we're currently doing to help paralytics,
right?
Because even if you have the loss of your leg, you can still create the feeling with having a device attached on your head to make you feel like you have legs, and to make you have those abilities that you've lost just by controlling your emotions and making you to affect your nervous system in a certain way, to make you believe you have those things. So I think that those were just some of the benefits. But the crazy thing is that I remember watching this movie about 20 years back. I was like 10 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and now it's happening.
That's amazing. Yeah. Again, and nothing happens in a bubble and in a vacuum, right? So all these things that AI is bringing forward, we've somehow been there before, but not at that level, because I don't know if you remember dial-up internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
33 point whatever for baud rate 1600 or it's 1400, and then you have 56K. And it was like, whoa, that's amazing. And I even remember my first computer. Or floppy disk. It was like, you know what I mean? Like, and then once. Oh my God! Yeah. What about the other one? Atari. Did you remember the Ataris? Yeah, and I remember I remember buying a 700 megabyte hard drive. It was this cartridge thing. It was you could actually eject it. A 700 megabyte, not gigabyte, 700 megabyte, yeah, for $1,000. And that was like, and everybody was, yo, dude, 700 megabyte. What are you gonna do with that? There's so much space. How are you gonna fill it up?
Yeah.
I never filled it up because again, we weren't downloading movies.
Yes.
We weren't downloading massive files. It was basically just doc files, text files, which is like
But the only thing
kilobytes.
is crazy also is that us as human beings, because when we started off with like maybe a cellular network, like with Edge,
Right.
and then we went to like 3G, and then we
3G,
went
right?
to like 4G, and then we went to LTE, now we went to 5G, and then during those transitions, how we lose the sense of patience, because now you go to like LTE or 5G now, and then when you go back onto this Edge, you just lose your patience because you can't cope with the speed. But at that time, you were just like it didn't matter to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all
yeah.
you knew.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
Because then that was back then. I mean, it was a luxury. I mean, hey, I have internet. It's you took what you had and you had to deal with it. Whether you were trying to actually view a photograph online, and remember how it was drawing like line by line.
Line by line, yeah, no,
Right,
for sure.
and then it gets stuck, and you sitting there just waiting. I was like, all right, cool. 5 minutes
No problem
later,
at all.
right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
You just go enjoy it. Yeah.
Right.
Also, like crazy thing is like now the world has Uber. Like so, if, for example, you buy a car, you pay an installment, you pay insurance, you pay all of these things that's needed for a car, and then you sit at home. And the reason why you bought the reason why you bought the car was for the convenience of going to the shop, buying your food whenever you want to. But now you buy this thing, and now Uber comes out and it takes away that conveniency of the car.
Right.
And then it basically fills that gap by making you order on Uber, and then you still have to pay for this. And then you ask yourself, why do I actually have that? item?
Right, exactly. They become pointless to actually buy a car. And then again, we were talking about this earlier, where disruptive technology like Uber did that. Taxi companies, they lost their minds when Uber came. What's the other one? Airbnb. Same thing. And you have things like for what's this other company? Bolt.
Yeah, Bolt.
Right. Do you guys have Bolt in
No, we
South
do
Africa?
have, but
Right.
it's not the best.
Yeah.
Bolt, e-hailing, Uber, they competing in that space.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, Bolt. Yeah. Anyway, I uninstalled it. They're still trying to get me back. Yeah. By the way, you got 40% off your next 5 trips. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
I think Bolt is it's China. So
Yes. Yeah.
But I think it's more on, whoever makes it first in the market, they have a few years before competition. And if they can make sure that they capture that within that time, I think for so long a period of time, we'll still be using them. And I think also with Uber, it's actually way much more better from a security point of view.
Right.
That's just, you are going to get your competitors who are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And there must be then that one thing about you. And I think for now, what's just very unique about Uber is just the security features that are there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they take your safety to heart. Let's say, for instance, there's one feature that I really love. If your car stops for X amount of minutes, like, you're stationary, they actually, are you okay? You haven't moved and
Yes, I like that too.
And
I like the fact that even when you come in, they might record that your trip.
Yes.
They ask you, and then they just record your trip. So and also you can share your trip with someone at home. They can know where you are at any point in time, or when where did you end up, and whatever. So I think those are the things for me that I appreciate about Uber, and I think security becomes very, very.
Oh, absolutely! Like great
these
feature,
days.
and then and you said something earlier as well. You said being first to market.
Yeah.
There's power in that, right?
No,
Being
there is.
first to market. For instance, to this day, people still call, for instance, facial tissue. I don't know if you guys do that, but in America, people call it Kleenex.
Yeah,
Right.
no,
Yeah,
it's okay.
But Kleenex is the first company that.
We have with us. We have Colgate.
Right.
Everybody calls
everything's
everything
Colgate.
Colgate.
Like even refrigerator, right? We call it a fridge.
Yes.
But fridge is actually, it's two-pronged. It's a shortened version of refrigerator, but it's also short for Frigidaire.
Yes, I know. Yes.
Right,
yes,
Frigidaire was the first, company
First one,
who actually
yeah.
created. They used to call it icebox. So then now everybody call it, hey, just get me something from the fridge.
Yeah.
Well, but it could be an LG, but people still call it a fridge.
Yeah.
So yeah, being first to market there's always power in that. And again, if you have any disruptive sort of like technology that you want to launch, the key is to launch early, right? Test, reiterate, get client, user feedback, and you're good to go. Because Uber originally, it wasn't supposed to happen. Because the guy who had the idea, he actually wanted to buy a fleet of cars. You guys know this, right?
Yeah.
I know.
We've seen the documentary and
Right.
Yeah.
So then, the guy said, hey, what if, now we don't want to be a car company because maintenance and insurance, this and that. So why don't we just get people to bring their own cars and then use that? I think it's a brilliant idea. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's great. So, hey, listen, for me, I'm all for AI. I'm all for all these disruptive sort of like technology. I'm a technologist. I mean, I love my gadgets.
Get the gadgets,
You know what I mean? Hey.
No, true.
Yeah, because it just depends what people use it for. So
Yeah.
that's the main thing.
Right. Productivity. And that's number one for me, productivity. Because even right now, what AI, speaking of AI, what it helps me to do is to do certain things that would take me, for instance, 10 minutes to do. I can do it in like literally a minute.
Yeah.
2 minutes tops.
Even downloading, it's just so quick. Before you would wait.
Oh,
You would
man.
wait half a day.
Yeah, you get frustrated. Yeah,
You get frustrated.
exactly.
Now,
I mean, for me, like here's an example, right? I wanted to create a table of data. Okay, column number 1, I want this to happen. Column number 2, and I want these rows. I want this information to be displayed. I just go to ChatGPT. Oh, this is what I need. Sure, certainly. All I did is copy, paste, and I just finesse it a little bit. Fix my rows, a couple of changes here and there, and it literally took me less than 2 minutes to do. But if I had to launch Excel, format it, type everything, and then now with like
But then now, what do you think about now human creativity? If there is something that you can ask and you can do literally everything for you,
Right.
and you can still submit it as a document
Right.
that can go and be approved for something.
True.
So now my question is that are we supposed to think now different, since we have things like ChatGPT, where if you want to write an assignment, you tell it. If you want a business proposal, you tell it.
Yeah.
This is what I want.
Good
So
point.
now,
Yeah, good
you
point.
have so in terms of creativity, then where is it going if you think about it?
Well, I think the creativity will still be there, and then again, it becomes a question of ethics, right? Are you the type of person who's going to basically take verbatim what ChatGPT spits out and then you pass it as your own, or are you going to use that as a catalyst, as the kindling? You know what I mean?
Yes.
As a spark
Yeah.
to now
Open it up.
and then make it your own. I think you're gonna have a bit of both, right? You're gonna have guys who say, "Hey, no, this is all me," but then it's chat, And you have the other guys who are like the real thinkers, the guys who have ethics, right? They will take that as a as a seed to expand it and make it their own. And I think there's no way around it. It's gonna happen no matter what. You know what I mean?
But
You're gonna
it's
have
also
guys who are
maybe
gonna take it.
It also depends on the individual. Like, so for example, if you have a person that's non-productive or low productive, he's going to use it maybe verbatim, and then have a person that's maybe is a more of a thinker, more a risk taker, an experimentalist, and then he goes there and then he just uses, like you said, like maybe like a template
Right.
to how to have a guideline of doing something. But then obviously it just depends on the individual. But then also with AI now, because remember the AI, if you create it, there's a set of programs it has to run by. So the person that's making that program would give it maybe a certain level of things to run by. To like, okay, so you're putting in this answer, it's give you this types of possible answers.
Yes.
So if you're a thinker, you might think much more greater than the AI because you might see something in a different perspective. So sometimes maybe AI would just give you a certain way of how to look something, and then you might have another thinker that might be thinking just maybe just a little bit different. They call it the first principle thinking,
Right.
which Elon Musk implemented when he was doing, I think it was Tesla and SpaceX as
Right,
well.
right.
Yeah, so that's basically one of the things I was just reading about. So maybe we can maybe have one possible answer more than AI.
Right. Yeah.
More of a thinker, yeah.
Exactly. Because again, I think Chat GPT will never, well, I'll never say never, but it will not replace human ingenuity and creativity because it still needs input. Right, for now, anyway, because we
Yeah.
don't know what ChatGPT 5 is going to do, where it'll be able to prompt itself and then do different things. But now with ChatGPT 3.5 or 4, it still needs human input. But also remember, the quality of the output that you get is dependent on the quality of the prompt that you actually feed the
Yes.
the AI. If you feed it trash, basically trash in, trash out.
So,
And a lot of people are saying, well, nah, it doesn't work because I asked it a question, but it was wrong. I'm like, yeah, but that's because your prompt was trash.
right, yeah.
And again, even now they have prompt lessons. Like there's a prompt academy where you can learn how to craft,
Okay.
prompts effectively for different things, whether it's for marketing purposes, whether it's for research purposes, whether it's for even for content creators. You want to write a script, you say, hey, give me a 10-minute script for my YouTube show about XYZ, and go.
Yeah, because also that's the problem we're seeing. For example, like maybe the next generation won't be able to know how to choreograph something because now you just upload something on TikTok. TikTok does everything for you. So also now the bad part about that I was seeing is that, like, if you look at Denzel Washington or Oprah Winfrey, and when they come up on stage and they talk and they tell you about the years of failure and how many auditions they had to go through in order for them to get that pivotal post where they can make a name for themselves, and then you've got somebody that looks good, post one video, 1 million likes,
Blows up,
and then
right.
you're a celebrity. And then now this person has emotional breakdowns.
Yeah.
They have, depression, anxiety, everything you can think of,
Yeah.
and they're leading 1 million people.
Yeah.
But then you got to ask yourself, it's like, why it's so important to go back to that old school of auditioning, going from trial and error, failing, and those sort of stuff. Yes, it create more room, but it will make a softer individual because you don't know what it is to like fall 100 times to wake up.
Good point.
So-
Because then if you've never dealt with rejection and everything's handed, to you on a silver platter, then now you think, well, I'm famous. Everything is owed to me. I'm the shit, And again, social media, just specifically TikTok. But I think TikTok's AI has changed also. Now it's a lot harder to get, 1 million, views or likes, like the way it was maybe 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
Now things are changing a little bit, which I think is a good thing. But at the same time, you see ByteDance, which is the Chinese version of TikTok.
Okay.
It's actually the same company, but they package them differently. TikTok is for the West. ByteDance is for China.
Yes.
ByteDance, I think what they're doing is brilliant in China. What they essentially did is they put restrictions on a certain demographic. For instance, teenagers, right? I think all the way up to 19 years old. I believe there's a timer on the app. You're only allowed to use it for X amount of hours per day. Okay. And for them on ByteDance, I mean, you would have thought, because there's dance in the title. It's all about dance competitions, you know what I mean? Dance, viral dance routines. There's none of that in China. You know what they have in China? Math competitions. Yeah. Robotics. Okay.
Yeah.
All sorts of, learning tools that they implement into the...
Have you seen that where they asked Americans, like youngsters, what would you do when you grow up? And everyone said, I want to be a YouTuber.
Right.
I want to be an influencer. I want
Yeah.
to be a TikToker. And then when they went to China, China was saying the youngsters were saying, I want to be a rocket scientist. I
I want to be an
mathematician."
astronaut. Yeah.
So it was crazy. Then it'll tell you like, okay, how vital this is for them to like control the West also to a certain degree, because now everyone wants to go to TikTok because it's literally the biggest platform, and they're monetizing it. So they're saying to you, recommend your friend, you get a certain amount of money. They're mastering the algorithms much more better as well. So they even know, like for example, when you go there and if you like one post, they know what you want, what you're after. You're after the young girl that's dancing. So as soon as you open TikTok, that's the first thing that it would show you.
Yeah.
So so it's crazy because also they're manipulating you to a certain degree to give you what you want to see, but also to hit you at your weakest spot, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's a level of programming that's going on where you know there's a reason when you watch these type of videos, like those street videos, street questions when they ask, even take it a step further when you say, all right, you see like for instance in the streets of New York and they're asking kids, name me 2 countries in Africa, and then you get answers like Zamunda or Wakanda. I'm like,
Wakanda. so yeah, that makes sense.
It's like, dude, and again, there's a dumbing down of the population there. It's been happening systematically, because I remember when I was going to school, right, we had for instance, band room, right, where music, all the instruments, and then as a student you were allowed to take an instrument home for the weekend to go, whatever you chose, whether it was a trombone and trumpet, violin, whatever, you were able to take instruments to go home. And at some point, they decided, nah, we don't have enough money. We're not gonna buy instruments now. If you want to be part of the like a band room, part of the music program, your parents have to pay extra. Most parents decided, well, hey, we don't have any money, so we're not gonna pay you extra for something that was free. So now that whole system, that whole program got taken away, and what ended up happening is this. Now you see a lot of kids didn't grow up like learning an instrument, but learning an instrument is not only by learning the notes or learning, the muscle memory, learning what is drums or keyboards, right? While you're fingering, it does something to your neural pathways, right? So it rewires your brain to think a certain way, because sometimes you're learning a passage, you're on the keyboard, you're learning this technical passage, and it might take you 2-3 weeks to learn it. But once you learn it, not only you have it under your fingers for life, but also your neural pathways have been rewired in a different way to do that. So a lot of kids that grew up, they lost that. They never grew up actually learning an instrument. And also it teaches you discipline. It teaches you concentration. It teaches you how to go from point A to point B with no shortcuts, which what you just said earlier. Now you upload something, then within an hour you're a
superstar.
Yeah, you're a superstar. Now,
For sure. But I'm not sure if you notice also, like if you look at when a person's got talent and you've got anyone that's like get the golden buzzer, you don't find them being like social media influencers. They all come out from the streets. They come out from Africa.
Yes.
Without social media, because then I think it's showing us that talent slowly, like pure talent is slowly fading away, and algorithms and platforms and media are going to take up the thing, because now it's so easy. Because, for example, meeting social media influencers in public, so sometimes you bump into them and then they have like this smallest self-esteems, and then now they call them also like behind, you have to be behind the screen for you to show who you really are. So it's also scary, because now you're losing the one-on-one contact. So yeah, that's also a bad thing. I think that's one of the major impacts to like mental health and low self-esteem and confidence and those sort of stuff, because it's making you important behind a device, and when you're on face-to-face value level, you have nothing to offer.
Definitely. So let's speak on that a little bit, like mental wellness, right? Mental health in general. I think there's been a decline, like since I guess, social media probably put a magnifying glass on it. I mean, it's been happening all along. I guess now we're more aware of it. But mental wellness, I mean, do you think there's a correlation between what's happening on social media and the state of mental wellness?
No, 100%, because like I think you have, like in this day and age, you have to be something which is stoic, and stoic teaches you that you don't have to worry about what happens external as long as you can focus on what happens internal. So that's why I found, like, for example, social media, because obviously you are on the device, you're not being social. For example, you're more focusing on, how many following you have, how you look, how you dress. So all that now, it's all about the viewers. So for example, so now it's being external. So if you don't get amount of likes, you don't get amount of interactions. So remember, that's all external because you got no control over that. You only thing you have control of the content you can create or the message you can put out. But whether someone responds or not, you have no control.
No control over that. Absolutely.
So that's what social media also controls people in that way, because now girls are willing to dress explicitly. They're willing to go against the core values. They're willing to make many adjustments in their life which maybe their parents didn't stand for, or society doesn't stand for.
Right.
And now obviously you start these movements, and then now it forces people to look at, to do things they're not supposed to be doing,
Right.
just for exposure, just for brand deals, just for likes, just for interactions, just for vacations, and all of these things you wanna call it.
Right.
So that's why now it has a lot more effect on the internal, because now that's being affected because you're not getting the external outcomes. So that's what you find, like I said, is that when you're going into like life doesn't have like, life doesn't say, hey, you're a social media influencer, it's raining today, let me not get you wet.
Right.
So it doesn't care. So it will happen. So that's what people understand, is that the forces of nature will act on you regardless of what role you play in society, or what title you have, or how much money you have. Like, the principles of life will still act on you.
Correct.
So that's what social media, I think, has damaged people, to make them focus so hard on
the external stimuli.
Yes.
And without that, then they feel their worth is much lower than they actually, and it has nothing to do with whether people like a post or not. It has nothing to do with how much you're worth.
100%. So
right.
So and remember, that affects your thinking, because everything you actually, they say the thoughts are the language of the mind, and action is the language of the body. So everything in life starts off with a thought. So if you don't know how to perceive something, because for example, if I put a post up now and if I get 5 likes for the whole day, I'm definitely not going to perceive it as in I'm likable. They like the message that I've spread.
Right.
They like the way in which I dress. They think I'm handsome.
Right.
So all of these things now, I'm going to look at it from a negative point of view, but if you can obviously take a step back and then reflect and say, okay, hold on, maybe I need to improve this, maybe I need to improve that, and those sort of stuff. But remember, society doesn't look at it in that point of view. We want it now. So
instant gratification.
Yeah, it was instantly, because everything about society in the 21st century is like getting things now. So even Uber, now has priority.
Right, exactly.
So you can get your stuff 20 minutes faster.
Right. I mean, we have a term for that also. Yeah. It's called, the microwave generation. You know what I mean? Where anything is instantaneous.
Yeah, I think we're just more of a victim of immediate gratification these days. But I'm just wondering that from mental health point of view, right? I think now globally, from social media, now I can know what's happening around the world, and before I couldn't. And it was just this big level field where it's easier for me now to see what you can achieve and what you have.
Right.
And now more of a reflection on me. But before social media, you would still go and achieve, but I don't know you.
That's right.
So I think it came to a point where we are measuring ourselves a bit wrong. We don't start internally to grow, so that as we are achieving the things that we are supposed to have to achieve, we still have a certain sense of self, and we don't lose self trying to achieve material stuff.
Right.
So now there was this boom of social media, and there's just now I'm looking at you doing so well, and then I'm thinking, okay, this is actually a life that I want. And now you see clubs and how people blow money, and so I'm thinking to myself, okay, wow, is this life possible? But before that, life has always been possible.
Right.
But because I didn't know.
Right.
So that's why the knowledge and knowing of something, it opens up your mind. And when it opens up your mind, it's either you are going to go internal or you are going to just be all over the place wanting. So it is a very, the topic of mental health is a bit so complex.
Yeah.
Really, it's a very, very complex topic if you look at it from that kind of a point of view where you have entertainment playing so much of a huge role in our lives.
Indeed.
And then you've got a lot of propaganda on the other side, because now you can take a picture, edit, and you'll be in Dubai right now. And the truth sense of the matter, you are here in Kenya.
Yeah.
Now I'm sitting home. I'm so concerned that how
Right.
did you get to go to Dubai? Because I just want to be there. And now
I
I've
wanna
got
go to
a
Dubai.
job.
Yeah, right.
Yes, now I don't appreciate my job
Right.
and what I was trying to do to try to achieve what I want to achieve. Now I'm distracted by just you posting pictures, going to Dubai, and maybe say, for example, you are a film editor and this is your job. Actually, you are not traveling for anything. It is your job. You're
right.
on a job.
Right.
But when I see you, I just think that you're not on a job, you're on vacation and probably
Right.
you're rich.
Just having a great time.
Because you're
right.
having a better. How can you have this much? But now you can come
Right.
to social media yet again and say, guys, I'm not having a good time. Actually, I'm working.
Right. Absolutely. But
Yeah.
also, great point. Because now when you, what you see on social media, it's just a snapshot. Yeah. It's like, for instance, right now, I'm looking at you through this. If this was a camera lens,
Yeah.
that's what I choose to show you.
Yeah.
But they don't even know how many pictures did I take before that. Did I take it in portrait mode or landscape mode? Did I crop in? Did I do it this way? And was my smile weird? And I deleted that picture. Was a hair out of place? You know what I mean? Did I have spinach in my teeth? Did I, was there somebody in the background that I didn't want to, it's so it's a curated snap into your life that with the perfect moment captured, and that's what people choose to post. But they don't see the dozens and dozens of pictures that was rejected before. And even here, people are watching this podcast right now. They don't know what's behind the camera.
I
it's
think
the same thing.
I mean, this is the reason why I don't have
Social media.
Instagrams and I don't have Twitter. Those ones, those are very the ones that we are familiar with a lot, where people.
I envy you, my friend.
So, but initially I thought maybe if I don't have Instagram, I'm missing something.
Right.
You'll have that, or if I don't have
yeah.
Twitter, I think I'm missing so much. I just have WhatsApp and I have Facebook. From a long time ago, but I thought I was going to miss something.
Right.
I thought I was going to be different.
So you don't miss it.
But I don't miss what I don't know.
That is true.
I've never had it. I didn't have Instagram. And it's fine.
Oh wow.
And it's cool with me in this way. And I think when it comes to our level of thought and thinking, I think for me more of reading makes you a bit better. And meditation for me, I do meditation a lot. I meditate every morning when I wake up.
Excellent.
I go deep into myself, because I am the child of the universe, and so it only makes sense for you to sit and listen. Excellent.
I love that. Speaking of meditation, I think to be grounded is something that we as a people we have strayed away. We have been led astray by all the modern trappings, right? So we don't get grounded anymore. This is something that I actually do periodically, even when I'm sitting here at the studio, and I feel I'm just being overwhelmed. I just go in the field outside, take off my slippers, put my feet in the grass, and then just re-energize and feel that energy again. And again, meditation, I don't meditate as often as I should, but I think there's power. You said also reading, which I love reading, and yoga, that I practice regularly, because I think it does something to to chi, to the flow, right? And then again, flexibility and peace of mind, and it's you get centered,
and you know why people they don't have time for it. I think it's because people are used to a busy life, and when you tell them to just sit and close your eyes, don't do anything, they panic. Their system just goes like, what's this? What's going on? Why can't I wake up? I just want to do something. And that's why it's harder when you tell someone, sit and quiet your mind for 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes in the morning and maybe 5 minutes in the evening as a start.
It's impossible for a lot of people.
It's impossible. And they think there is a right way to try to regulate yourself. They think there is a right way of doing it. And there's no right way. You just sit and sit.
Absolutely.
Just sit.
Right.
And there's nothing. You're not paying anything. You don't have to be intelligent. You don't have to be religious. You don't have to be anything. Just sit for 5 minutes.
That's true.
Sit.
Because I remember you were the one that introduced me to meditation.
Yeah.
So, but also it was more on my side with religious, because I remember growing up and my parents telling me like meditation, like meditate only on the word of God, for example.
Right.
And I was like, okay, is there another type of meditation? And then if you do that meditation, you're inviting or invoking like evil spirits inside you. So now I was like, when I was introduced to that, I was like, holy shit. And so, I'm joining the Illuminatis or something. So then when I practiced it, when I practiced it, I saw like, what power this holds to learn how to quieten yourself.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I guess a lot of people
because
think,
even when I met him, his mind was very scattered.
Yeah.
And I could tell. You can, when you start to do it, you're grounded. And when someone's mind is scattered and they need help, you can see it just from a conversation. And I was just like, quiet your mind, sit don't do anything. Just sit and do nothing.
Yeah.
And you are more going to listen. And when you listen to source, that's your reality. You don't even have to listen to me. When you sit and you are quiet, you will get your answers.
Your voice will come to the surface.
The voice will come, and the voice that comes into the surface, that's your communication with the universe.
That's
you don't
amazing.
need anyone to tell you this is right, this is wrong. Just go and sit and get your truth there.
That's amazing.
And when you get up, that truth will lead you. Will lead you to the right places. And that's what I told him. I said, I got that by chance, just from reading, but because I felt like, why do I have so much of extreme emotions? What's this? And luckily, I was just observant of my life. Otherwise, I was never going to know now. I was going to still be a mess. And you have tempers that you don't understand. What is it? Because also, I think it has been very important. I think it's important at this point in time that kids are taught their biology, like how everything comes to being.
Yes.
That is you. What are cells? How is your body built? What does your body do? What do you have control over? What don't you have control over? What can you appreciate about you? What is it that comes with you being you? And those things are not supposed to be odd, because when you don't understand biology, you think you're in control of everything. From our conversation yesterday about even sweet stuff, even though also it's part of DNA that has passed, where our ancestors would just want to go and have berries and whatever, and that's why we have that sweet tooth. It comes from our ancestors.
That's
and
right.
Passed on, right?
Epigenetics.
Yes, epigenetics, right? But there's so much of biology that we can understand about ourselves, that you don't have to feel bad when something is happening to you,
Right.
because biologically this is what's supposed to happen.
Right.
So you don't know that. You this is a big vacuum. You are thinking, okay, now I'm waking up, and you don't know that your body is made up of cells.
Right.
You don't know that your cells are made of atoms, billions of it. You don't know that you are creating so much of yourself in you every second, every minute, because your cells are just creating themselves. They are newer, and it affects everything about you.
Absolutely.
So,
and then you're never really the same person.
You never.
To the next, right?
No, for a day to the next, you are never the same person because of this. And if you don't know this, you're always asking yourself, why are you different?
Right.
Imagine just this one concept.
So now, where do we start to actually implement these things? Does it start in the home or in the school system, the education system? How do we do that?
I think even when we're doing health education,
Right.
you'd start at like maybe grade 3, grade 4, where they introduce you into health education. But I think this kind of knowledge, it depends where you are from, maybe, but it was never available to us, this kind of information, where rightfully you have to understand yourself biologically first, and you also have to understand how physics impact everything that you do as a person. You know, what happens to you when you are walking, and what physics does. And the reason why now we could tap into Wi-Fi is because we use the laws of physics that have always been given to us.
That's right.
So you switch on your TV, all the signals are things that are not man created. We found them here from a physical point of view.
Yeah, we just found a way to tap
Yeah.
into
Yes,
them.
and we learned how to tap into them,
Yeah.
right? So as a person, how can you tap into those?
Yes.
Because they are freely there. But then if you don't know that, then it becomes a big problem.
Right, but also is that by design? Does that mean if we so grounded, if we know so much about ourselves, then we won't be so susceptible to the control machine that's out there, the apparatus that controls us, that actually keeps us in essence, we're just drones. Most of us, we don't seek that knowledge, because now if we have that knowledge, will we rebel against the machine?
I don't think so, because our outlook is different. My outlook is different because I'm grounded, and I always look internal to go and seek the truth of myself. So it's different when you have another person here who do not understand that actually your brain is plastic. It can change. As you're doing meditation, you can rewire.
Neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity. So if you don't understand that, also there are mechanisms that you can use that are free, that you don't have to pay for, and that can make a huge impact in your life.
Right.
And you can go out there and get what you've always wanted.
Yeah.
Right? By just you being natural.
Absolutely.
Like now you're saying, if somehow you feel somehow, you're going to the field.
Yeah.
Those things are free. It's knowledge that's there, again, for free.
Right. But why aren't more of us doing that?
But because also we are, again, victims of immediate gratification. When I tell you to quiet your mind and meditate, you think when you wake up, there'll be $100,000. And when you wake up,
wouldn't that be amazing? Right.
Yes, and it's
So
not
are you
there.
thinking now it doesn't work?
No, then it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because why I still feel a bit anxious, why I feel a bit depressed. But if you give it time, like I've given it time, my emotions are regulated.
Yes.
I didn't take pills. I didn't go to the doctor. I didn't do anything. My emotions are extremely strong.
Because you're not looking for instant
Because
gratification.
I've
You
never
understand the
looked-
process.
Yes, and it was just the process.
Yeah.
And I was not taught.
Right.
I was just like, one more time, one more time.
Do it again.
And even when we do business and we have challenges, I just tell him the concept of one more time. Let's go again. Let's go again. Let's go again. Let's go again. If we didn't have this idea of missionary, but not mercenary, we could not be where we are.
Gotcha.
So that kind of a way of thinking and doing, I think it could have helped a lot of us, I mean, in Africa, to have this kind of knowledge and try to practice. And I know that they have also said in the US that the kids from age 12, they are already practicing, they have these kind of practices, and it actually creates peace in their environment.
Absolutely.
Imagine in the area, to show how we are so connected to nature. That is crazy that you can sit here and something goes and heal somewhere.
That's powerful.
It's mind
That's
boggling.
powerful. So yeah, we need to get the power into our own hands. So now,
So, yeah.
again, in the same vein, right? Like mental wellness, meditation, yoga, even exercise, and even for
Because people want to know, will that give you money? I mean,
right.
Yeah.
But again, it all boils down to what am I getting from it?
Yeah.
What if there's more to
That's-
life than
that's
Then
how much?
yeah.
than
Because
money?
people don't understand that money is a byproduct of something.
That's the thing.
There you go.
They want it to be the product. Like, for example, I mean, look at a human being. Another word for human being is habit. So that's also one of the problems why human beings find it so hard to sometimes get out of the rat race. Because if you've been programmed, like, for example, if I'm living in Kenya and if I go to South Africa, with my habits and my behaviors from Kenya, I already look like an outcast in South Africa because I have a different way I'm wired. So that's why in each and every person's mind, you have a mirror neuron. So the mirror neuron between the ages of 1 and 7 years old, it copies the parent and it makes you like the society that you're born from, to make you one of those citizens, to make you one of the community. So that's why when somebody goes from one place to another, they're looked at as an outcast. But also the problem with that is that if you don't implement meditation, reflection, yoga, and all of these mindful techniques to brainwash yourself to a more productive or more more different human being. Then, like you said, it gives you, it opens up new neural pathways in your mind. They say even like with meditation, your brain changes shape just by activating the new neurons. So that's why sometimes it's hard for people to go back. Hard for them to implement new stuff, because they don't understand is that another word for human is habits. So if you break down a human being, it comes down to habits, meaning like what do you do with your time each and every single minute. That will give you a true reflection of your life in the next 5 years. So that's why now people don't want to implement this, because once again, in Africa, we've been given God, religion, and superstitious belief, which is great because it helps to control the population. Otherwise, we would all be reckless. But that's why most of us are scared of sin and so on. But also, it doesn't make us see meditation or make us see these mindful techniques as ways of becoming better human beings or becoming better or more productive, because we've now been pushed the agenda, like we're saying, just focus on the money.
Gotcha.
So and then you get the money and then you're like unhappy. What's next?
Right.
So
because then it becomes like a futile like chase. You always chasing the next dollar.
Yes. And that is why the question has always been that even why is it that then when you have so much of money but people are extremely unhappy, even though you went on to achieve whatever you wanted to achieve based on the status quo, why do you find someone who is worth $1 billion want to commit suicide?
Right.
If really it's about that. But these are the conversations that should be opened also from people who are doing well.
Yeah.
To not sell this idea of go chase.
Indeed.
When you know at home you also have your own demons that you don't want to talk about and teach people about those ideas. But what I've also seen is that because this idea economically has impacted a lot of people, when you talk to people about this idea, they're like, no, PULE, don't talk to me about this. I want money too. I want money. You don't talk about to me with this idea. But when you give the people sometimes the process to say how you get better, and you will be able to get money and things, and in a way that sits so great in you, and you become more part and parcel of everything that you have, and you travel with it. You have a great sense of self as you are having things. You are not going to be you have $1 million and you're just now going to go and buy Ferrari, buy this, buy that, and then tomorrow it's done. And then you're going to chase again. You're not going to be like that. When you are grounded and you understand things, you'll hardly look at $1 million as $1 million.
Absolutely.
It becomes so different.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So you go and say, I come to you and tell you that, okay, we can have these good habits and these good practices that will make you feel good.
Right.
And when you feel good, all the insecurities leave. So when you live your life, you are the most authentic person. And not to me, but to you.
Yeah.
But now
you got to be true to yourself.
Yes, you're true to yourself.
Yeah.
But now people don't want to hear that. They want to hear that, okay, if you meditate in 6 months, then you're going to have a beautiful house, cars, this. And life is no longer going to happen to you because you'll have this big defense. This is just not, you're not going to experience challenges. You're not going to experience anything because of these things that we're doing. But it doesn't mean that. What we are doing is that when you do these things, when challenges come to you, they find you very, like, you are level-headed.
Right.
Yeah, you no longer are going to approach a challenge.
Right.
In that kind of a way. You are going to challenge it in the best way possible to say everything is out here to help me.
Right.
So this is how I'm challenging a problem. Even a problem is here to help me.
Absolutely. But let me ask you then, is this a byproduct of capitalism? Because people always attach a monetary value to what's in it for me. If I do this, am I going to get this? Am I going to get that? Yeah. Where I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day, and and he was telling me how in certain like back in the day here in Kenya, people used to actually, especially in Maasai land, they used to leave, what do you call them, a gourd, right, full of milk in the house, in a corner of the house. When travelers were traveling through the town, travelers would actually systematically sometimes stop and then just, knock on the door, nobody's there, they open the door to go in, and then they were thirsty, they drink the milk. and then they would tie a string around the gourd to let the people know that somebody came and drank the milk. There was no money exchange, and those people were actually happy. Oh, we helped somebody today, because somebody was thirsty. They stopped. They drank the milk. They did continue on their ways. And there was no money exchange. There was nothing exchanged. And now, is it something that we have lost because of capitalism? Because now, if I say, all right, PULE, listen, I have this tablet right here. I don't want it anymore. I'm not even using it. It's sitting in a drawer collecting dust, right? Am I going to give it to you? Am I going to say, you know what, give me a couple $100 for it, even though I haven't touched it in 3 to 6 months?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how do we get back to that? How do we get back to, listen, you're my brother. Jay here, J Magic is my brother. Here, I'm not using this. Do you have any use for it? Here, take it.
Yeah.
How do we get back to that?
And I think yet again it goes back to I don't think you are born a giver, right? You practice giving. And amongst other things, I would just give money.
Right.
From work, or even when I was on a taxi, whatever, I'll just give somehow, and it becomes a big part of me. Every time I look at my clothes, I haven't worn this for this long. Why do I have it? But
Right.
Here's a guy that
needs it.
That needs it. And I can tell you now, most of my clothes look better in other people. But
Nice.
That's what I've always liked.
So that you were admiring it
yes,
from afar.
I would always
know?
admire it from
Yeah.
someone. I'm like, this guy, but
Yeah.
I would always give most of my things, and somehow from giving, I've never lacked.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to use that as a religious principle or anything, but I've always been giving family, whatever. Even in South Africa, they'll call it, black tax when you take care of your parents. And they call it black tax. And
Right.
when you take care of your cousin, whatever, and all of those things.
Call it black tax.
Yes, they call it
Black tax, yeah.
Yes. But I've always, I don't associate myself with these kind of terms that has nothing to do with me.
Right.
And I just do yet again.
But it's just
what
something
I
you do
think
not
is
naturally.
true to me.
Right.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Naturally, I just do it.
Yeah.
And there's some level of empowerment from that where
Sure.
you never lack. But then when you tell someone this, and they haven't experienced it, and they give, and for a moment they don't have, they come and knock on your door.
Right.
You told me that I need to do this and this, and then I will have.
Yeah.
Again, you don't give to get back. You
No.
are giving because you are assisting.
Never. When it is pleasure in giving.
Yes,
right?
and there's so much of pleasure that they say that take us eat well, but give us sleep well at night. They might eat well on the table, take us eat well, but give us sleep well. And I
Wise
think I have
words.
been very a product of that through and through. I really do sleep well.
Excellent.
When I have assisted and give. And I think it's something, hence I'm saying it's something that we can all practice. And from things that you have. I mean, you have a year with things that you're not using. Why don't you give it?
Exactly. So is that what you call the Ubuntu spirit?
Yes, that's the spirit of Ubuntu, where you can knock at my home and say, man, I don't have meat. And I'm like, no, there is meat.
Okay.
And we grew up in our communities being like that. And there's a point where now I think the voice of capitalism started to be real in everyone.
Yeah.
Because remember, the only way to impact that is to say it over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Which is
up
part
to
of
a
your
point
philosophy. Do it again and
Yes.
again and again
yes,
and again.
and we become it. So we became capitalistic because of the voice of it.
Yeah.
Over and over, news, this, and then social media worse.
Yeah.
We became just part of that, and we became very angry. And now, even when I have something, monetary value, even if it's brothers and sisters from home. So this thing should start from home, where at your home you have a spirit of sharing.
Yeah.
At home, and then you extend it to your neighbors, to other people. And for me, when I give you something, I'll be like, extend. Always remember what I've done for
Pay
you.
it forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always remember what I've done for you there. And when someone is going to come and ask from you, always remember that I did this for you.
Yes. That's
Have
great.
remembrance.
Yeah,
Every
and
time
then
I give-
not expecting anything in return
Yeah,
to
no,
you,
no,
but
no, I don't expect anything from
pass
you.
it along.
Yes, I'm fine. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever it is of a highest nature or whatever will take care of me. I don't worry much about that. And I've realized that when you don't have this in you, the scarcity thing that happens in us, you, even if it happens to you, don't see it. Yeah,
Because scarcity mindset is
Yes,
something
scarcity mindset.
that's essentially it becomes an anchor, right? It becomes the old ball and chain. Once you start thinking, and from that standpoint, the scarcity mindset, and everything comes from the standpoint of lack.
Yeah.
Not really what you have. You know what I mean? You may have everything that you need, but you always sort of like, oh well, I could have. This could be better. I could have that. This could be bigger.
I even remember when I met Jerome for some few months, and then I was just like, here's a watch. Here's my watch to take. And then he's just thinking,
how? Why?
What's this guy doing? Yeah. Is there something that this guy is trying to do?
Right.
Is this guy trying to buy me into something? And then over time, he's just thinking, no. Or I leave, maybe, because every time I get to someone's place, I always take out my watch. I don't know why.
Right.
And then I leave it there. Then he's like, hey, your watch.
You left your watch. No, keep it. Right.
Like, keep it to yourself. And again, I could see the same spirit. If he sees something nice and be like, okay, let me buy this guy something.
Right.
At least something. But
I think that's great. Yeah.
Yes.
That you have this sort of brotherhood.
Yeah, and he couldn't understand it because probably he was not used to something like that where say you have a watch for maybe $1,000 and you just give it to someone.
Right.
It's still brand new. And then that person is just thinking,
all right, what's the ulterior motive?
Yes.
But also the it passes on. Like, so even at work, there was a cleaner or a janitor there, and I had this old sneaker. It was a Gucci sneaker, and I was like, you can have this, and it blew his mind to say like, oh my gosh, like
how
why?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I don't know how I'm gonna show this to my friends because it's like the shoe of everyone, like my designed shoe, and then I'm giving it to you and no thing. But I was also seeing, for example, like you were just saying, is that when I was doing some research on neurology based on this, is that like the scarcity mindset. Like, for example, there's something in your brain called the RAS, or the reticulating activating system. So, for example, if you see your favorite shoe, or if you see, like, for example, a G-Wagon, now you go into the roads and you keep seeing the G-Wagon.
Right.
Now you're like, oh my gosh, God is telling me a sign. Then you have to realize, before me seeing the G-Wagon, was the G-Wagon there? Yes, it was.
Right, you just were not tuned into it.
I was not tuned into it, I was not aware, and it was not important to me.
Right.
So because it became important to me, now I keep seeing the G-Wagon, and now I believe it's a sign. And only to realize 6 months, a year, 10 years later, never got it.
Right.
Because what I found is that if you are making that important to you, imagine if you make finances important to you, like the lack mindset, or you make maybe your health a problem. And then if, once again, your RAS takes note of it, and now it becomes important to you. Now, even if you go for an opportunity, even if there's a chance for you walk past the gym to improve your health, you can't see it. Because you've just been programmed to only see what's important to you. And if it's lack, you'll only see lack. And if it's abundance, you'll only see abundance. So that's why it's so important to be aware, like, once again, like taking note of your biology and the meanings of your brain. Like, for example, they say a mother lion takes its baby lion to the wilderness, or wherever it is, for 6 months, because the baby lion's neurons are so they're so, like,
malleable.
Malleable, and they're so teachable at a young age, is that they will copy the mother lion. So then the mother lion would, after the 6 months, let go of the baby lion, because now that cub has taken on the next generation.
Gotcha.
So now it's to be equipped with the tools to now carrying on this bloodline for the generations to come. Right. So that's why it's so important at younger ages that we teach kids the abundance mindset, and to focus on opportunities, because there's many people I know in Africa that walks past an opportunity there, but they can't see it because you've been programmed to only see lack. Right. So basically,
and I think for me, it's not like it's more like I don't want to even speak about this on face value, where we are just like, okay, the Ubuntu spirit, because somebody can come back and say, but Pule, how do you expect me to give what I don't have?
Right.
I mean, I would really love to, but I need to survive first. And that's not also a problem if that's what you want, to sort yourself first and then try to help and give. Yeah. That's us being very thoughtful of other people's situations, that they might not be in our position.
Correct.
But at the end of it all, from that point of not having, the little things that you have, you can share them with your neighbor. Because if you don't teach yourself that, the time you have, you're never gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as anything else, where you think, let me wait for this time. You want $1 million, it's God. Then
Right.
I can start there and give. But now you want 2 million before you're going to give. You're not going to do it. 3, 4, 5, and then now you've got 10. You still feel like, no, this
So
is
like
not
it's
enough.
not enough.
So it is more of something that you teach yourself than the resource itself.
Right.
And I think also for me, how I got around that is that my mom, I'm the only child. So my mom used to give to poor kids a lot. So, and they'll come into the home. And
Right.
then we'll all have breakfast. And, sometimes I'm bathed and whatever. And I was like, no, I'm not eating with these kids. And I got a hiding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a big hiding. So that, and she was saying, you have to understand this.
'Cause
From
now,
young.
I guess your mom, like Jerome was saying, your mom is a lioness
Yes,
with the young
teaching
cub,
them. Yeah.
teaching you how to navigate the world. And I think it's so important, and that brings us, full circle into how we teach our children to navigate the world, whether it's from the standpoint of biology, religion, to learn about what's your body constitute of. Are you made out of atoms? You're made out of all this, the sum of you, right? The sum parts of you. We are not actually taught that, and I think it's to our detriment, because if we
it's a
knew,
huge disservice.
it's a huge disservice. If we knew who we are, how powerful we are as human beings, and especially what's between our ears. Our brain is probably the most powerful system in the world, but we are not taught to tap into that, because to a certain extent, I think sometimes we are shut down. It's like, no, don't touch that, or don't do that. You ask too many questions. Go sit over there. And you talk too much. But then after a while, children sort of like, they become, okay, maybe I'm doing something wrong, because children, they genuinely want to know, but then they're always, no, I don't have time for this. Daddy's busy. Go sit over there. Don't ask me. So what do we do? Is it because there's a generation, the older generation, we don't know these things, or we can't pass them down to the younger generation? So how do we bridge the gap?
Yeah, because I think when you're younger, you're much more curious. And then as you grow older, the curiousness gets discouraged. Now you stop asking questions, you stop taking risks, you stop, asking how can you get better, because you just know I was supposed to go this way. So also the bad thing, like we're saying, because humans are habits, sometimes you've been programmed by your parents, which have been badly programmed, and the cycle just goes on, and they call it obviously a generational curse.
Right.
So that's why it's so important that's why also social media plays like a bit more that's why I have social media, is because to promote these types of things, like for example mental illness, but not just promoting going C A B C D, but taking the power of how can you be your own therapist, and but by rewiring yourself through meditation and also on. So but I think unfortunately, realistically speaking, some people, if they're not going to put themselves into this exposure of training their kids, or for the kids taking the initiative to looking at this stuff, unfortunately that rat race will just go on and on. And this is the realistic thing about it, because we have to look at it from a statistical point of view, that how many people will make it out of the rat race and how many people will have better lives. Because some people are just like maybe delusional to say like, it's possible for everyone, which is fairly true, but unfortunately, if you look at the statistics and you look at the numbers, it's a very small number that actually goes about doing it. So that's why because mass majority obviously goes a certain way. There's only a small amount of people that say, hey, hold on, I'm not supposed to be there.
Right.
I'm supposed to be going this way. So, but obviously, the main thing is just making sure that, that parents are exposing themselves to like how can they rewire, how can you change your life, and if you've been taught the specific way, you can unlearn and learn a new habit. But I think that's why it's so important, even for myself. Every time I meet someone, we go into these conversations and we talk about making sure that your kids are curious, making sure you don't kill their spirit. If they have a question, answer. If they come back, I remember listening to this one podcast recently with the Patrick Bet David
Yeah.
from the US.
PBD.
Yeah, PBD, and
Yeah.
he was just saying that COVID was one of the best things because he was teaching his kids to read a book. They was watching a documentary for an hour,
Right.
and they did some other thing. I can't remember what it was, but it was like the conversations after 6 months. It was ridiculous because the kids were sounding so different.
Absolutely.
So-
Because he would read these books and he would quiz them about,
Quiz them
what
about-
did you learn?
Yes.
Watch the documentary. What did you learn
What
about
did you
the
learn
documentary?
about
They
it?
discuss it.
And then also they were asking, like, every time your kid comes back from school, ask them like, how was their day?
Yeah.
What did you learn today?
Right.
And then if a kid says, maybe I learned this, then ask them, okay, why do you think this is important? And challenge their belief and make them see something that pretty much, instead of going, like I said, the mass majority, try and take your kids to the thinner, finer line and just keep them curious.
Yeah.
Like Elon Musk, and we're seeing like some of the documentaries about him, that the reason why he's an expert or genius at this now is because you have to look at an adult is a child.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an adult is just a full form of a child.
Right.
And also a child is how we're going to put this. So for example, even if you look at an adult, you have to go all the insecurities, all the things that you lack, all the things. It didn't start here.
Yeah.
It started when you were a child.
When you were a child, yeah.
Yeah. So and they found that if you fix the adult, not the actual adult now, you fix that inner child.
Yes.
Like then you fix the adult.
You
It's
fix
crazy.
the whole chain.
The
Yeah.
whole chain.
Definitely.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's the amazing thing about it. And also you have like trees. Like if you don't put the tree and if you don't tie it to that stick, if it's going crooked,
Right.
unfortunately for the tree, it will be like that for lifelong.
Yeah.
But for human beings, we don't have that structure. It's
Right.
just we can alter this life at any point in time.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's great for for us as men. We are we have the capacity to actually to reason and to think about different concepts and how we can take a page out of the playbook of for instance PBD, but who else I can think of, Elon Musk, Jack Ma, all these guys who actually achieve things on this plane, not just monetary things, but things that are actually reshape the course of civilization. So for us, to keep that inner child alive, right? Again, it's the dichotomy is such. We don't want to be seen as infantile, but also we don't want to be seen as rigid and immobile.
Okay.
So now we have to basically split it in the middle, right? Of course, you got to remain inquisitive. You got to remain, the inner child has to stay alive. You got to ask questions. You got to talk about certain things. And again, one thing that I always go by, I never want to be the smartest guy in the room. You know what I mean? If you think you're the smartest guy in the room, trust me, you're not.
You're not, yeah.
So you got always, I'm always trying to learn about new things, and me meeting you guys. I don't think it's by happenstance. It's we were meant to meet with each other and now have this conversation, which I will cherish for the rest of my life, and for us to be here, talking to each other and exchanging ideas. And I think it's a great thing. And if we can pay it forward, even if somebody watches this show, even if one person get a little nugget of knowledge from this show, I'll be forever grateful. Yeah. And I think this brings us to the end of Open Door Podcast. So we're gonna launch it here today, right now. So Open Door Podcast, that's what we are. So walk in, we talk about anything and everything. So guys, parting words of wisdom for the people watching at home. Let's start with you, PULE.
I think patience, going deep into yourself, helping out, and not expecting anything in return. The universe will take you.
Well said, my friend. Jay.
Yeah, so I think just breaking down to a few concepts will be very quickly. I think the main thing is that to understand the statistics and the numbers, and there was an observation done and it was said that out of 100,000 men, 100 of them would be actually around 100 men, 100 men, and 98, let's just say, for example, there would be, I think about 80 of them would be unemployed. You'll have about maybe 10 of them that will be working, and then you'll have, breaking it further down, you'll have like 2 that will be rich, and then 1 will be extremely wise and wealthy. So when I understood like the numbers of this, I understood that we are all possibilities and we're all ratios, and we're all statistic of something. So if you understand the statistic, and then I wouldn't like, if I know the statistic of something, I wouldn't go where the mass majority goes. And that's what we've always been talking about. If society is going the specific way, I challenge everybody to like go to that 1%, that one thing that you think you shouldn't be doing because everybody else is there. That's what you should be doing, to think something different. And I think the second thing was just exercise. I think I see one of the things that helped me to build confidence, because confidence is not just something you wake up and you get it, or it's not rubbed off into you, not something when you pray you get it. It unfortunately doesn't work that way. Confidence is a byproduct of something. And one of the things that helped me to get confidence was just going to the gym and working out. I've seen such a difference, like how women look at, come across to me, how people relate to me, and how I see myself. Because every time I walk into a mirror, I look at myself seriously, because I'm like, you look good. So then I knew, okay, that was the second thing. And then I think the last thing was, once again, just challenging your beliefs, because everything that you've been taught is not the only way life should be. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. So once again, PULE in the house from South Africa. My brothers from other mothers. We got Jerome, aka J Magic, in the house. So thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you for having this conversation with me. And parting words: keep that inner child alive. Learn something new every day. And this is your host. I am John H. Legend in the house. I'll see you next time.